Follow the wind.
I thought I told him to spray it with water to retain moisture before applying the film. You can't treat a glaze lily like a cactus. If Sanjay does this again, the loss will have
I'll go talk to him. At this rate, he won't even be able...
Hey, Tainari!
Oh, it's you two. It's been a while. What brings you to Port Orm?
We didn't have anything to do, and this place looked pretty lively, so we decided to...
Well, Port Ormos is currently organizing a flower exhibition. The exhibition includes flowers from every corner of the world, each with their own unique properties and needs. Even so, an expert is still required to develop tailored transport...
Oh, and that expert is you, right?
Not this time, no. I'm just here to help out. The expert in charge is someone else.
Mr. Tainari! Sanjay! He confused the poisonous bulbs with garlic.
Never mind. Forget about what Apologies, Traveler, Paimon. Looks like I've got something to take care of. I'll be...
Tainari's busy no matter where he is, huh? Yeah, seems like it. Some people just need supervision. Well, looks like Tainari might be busy for a while. Let's take a look around the port in the meantime.
Huh?
Paimon's fine. She's just
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies.
It's getting worse. But I was fine just a moment.
A moment of your time, you two? If it's not too much trouble, perhaps you could try this incense.
Incense? Oh, the scent is so nice. Whoa, that was fast. Paimon doesn't have to sneeze anymore.
Think nothing of it. From your attire, I imagine you two aren't from... Seeing as we're both travelers from abroad, it's only right that...
Oh, so you're here for the flower exhibition?
I suppose that's accurate. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Emily, a perfumer from
Paimon is Paimon. Thank you so much for your help.
The Traveler, right? I've heard a lot about you from the Steambird.
What happened back there? Why did Paimon start sneezing?
Have you ever heard of hay fever? To put it simply, when inhaled...
But Paimon has seen these kinds of flowers before and nothing weird happened then.
Well, we're all different. The factors that can trigger a reaction to certain stimuli vary by person. In isolation, the effects of certain... But there's no need to worry. Pollen allergies can be...
Oh, well, that's good.
Traveler, Paimon, there you are. I left in such a hurry, I forgot to warn you about all the pollen in the air. Emily? What a coincidence.
It was nothing, really. We happened to run into each other. I'm more curious as to why you thought the Traveler and Paimon were in danger. Allergies are highly
Remember the first time we met? You fainted after inhaling Spirit Borneal.
The Spirit Borneal didn't affect Paimon at all, and now she's the one suffering. It makes no sense.
It's not really something you can make sense out of, Paimon. There are all kinds of allergies out there, caused by
Exactly. I even encountered a case in Fontaine where someone had an allergic reaction to soba noodles.
Whoa. Good thing Paimon isn't allergic to anything that...
In a manner of speaking, although you could say the patient's idea.
In addition to medicine, Emily is also very knowledgeable about botany.
And that's where my expertise ends, I'm afraid. When it comes to breadth of knowledge.
A flower expert? Oh, Paimon's got it! You must be the expert Tainari mentioned.
Wrong again, I'm afraid.
Well, I did come for the exhibition, but only to inquire about the Auguste.
Oh, Paimon was sure she got it right this time.
It's a kind of flower that was once popular in Fontaine. The perfume.
Auguste, huh? That's not a name you hear often now.
In an ancient language, the word is said to mean sacred or noble. Ah, that reminds me. Are you familiar with the historic perfume mania? Was an event that occurred in Fontaine nearly 20 years. It all started when several merchants released their own lines of high-end, expensive perfume. No one anticipated the absolute frenzy this would create on the market. The demand was twofold. What some saw as a status symbol, most saw as a money-making opportunity. The value of these products became so inflated, regular bottles of perfume were even... But at the end of the day, perfume is just perfume. The market value greatly exceeded the intrinsic... Luckily, the Palais Mermonia recognized the danger and intervened before the craze could truly spread. In the end, only a few wealthy families were affected when the bubble popped.
What does all this have to do with that Auguste you mentioned earlier?
Well, during the craze, the most popular perfume was none other than Auguste. The demand far exceeded the supply.
10 million? Then what about now?
After the mania ended, most perfumes returned to a normal price. Its namesake, the flower used to create it, went extinct. As a result, no new bottles of Auguste have been made. Indeed, the Auguste flower was not a natural variety, you see. It was, when the bubble popped, all the flower beds used for its cultivation were destroyed.
But didn't you say you came to the exhibit?
Ah, yes. I came to investigate a certain rumor that the Auguste flower has...
Traveler, we should help Emily look for it.
I have to agree. Emily wrote me to ask if I could look into the rumor, but the forest rangers haven't received any
Even if I can locate the flower, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed, but... Divine, noble, one of a kind. All beautiful sentiments to be sure, but to me, they overshadow the very... When it comes to perfume, I want people to forget the price and the prestige and focus on the beauty.
Wow, so noble.
Of course, there's also a more practical reason. In recent years, low-grade counterfeit versions of every so often someone will claim to have recreated the unique scent of Auguste, and the rumor...
Okay, that's more like the reason Paimon had in mind.
Ever since that rumor started, 3 new perfumes claiming to be... If I can dispel the fanaticism surrounding Auguste, even just then, I'll be free from all the stories and added...
That makes sense.
Oh, I would of course be grateful for your help, but I wouldn't want to trouble you.
Well, you said it yourself. We're both travelers from abroad, so...
Ha! I suppose you're right. Then you have my thanks.
Based on the information I have so far, it's unclear. Mr. Edgar also thinks it's too early to say. But you could...
I was just about to pay him a visit at the hotel.
Edgar? Who's that?
The person you've been trying to guess this whole time. The flower expert in charge of the... Back when he was still working in Fontaine, Auguste was his creation.
I should also mention, he was my teacher, the one who taught me the basics of perfumery when I apprenticed.
So this guy was a famous perfumer in Fontaine, but then he came to Sumeru to teach people from Fontaine? It sounds confusing.
It's a long story. If you're interested, we can talk more about it when we see him. He should be staying near the hotel.
Oh, look at all the flowers!
Apparently, the exhibitor paid a large sum to rent out the hotel and surrounding building.
Yeah, what if guests come early? They won't have anywhere to stay. Also, renting out this big of a hotel, how are they gonna make that Mora back?
It's been so long. I almost didn't recognize you, Edgar. Well, you and...
Oh, yeah, all this catching up is nice and all, but let's get...
Hold on. We have guests.
It's nice to see you again, Master.
Emily? Is that you? Oh, it's been years. Look at you. I've heard you've become quite the famous perfumer in Fontaine.
Oh, well, it's all thanks to your mentorship.
Ah, hardly. I taught you the basics. I've taught many students here in Sumeru over the years, but I've yet to see one turn out quite... And who are these two?
They're my new friends, the Traveler and Paimon.
Emily's friends.
And these two gentlemen are...
Of course. I'm Ood, and this here is my younger brother.
Yes.
Merchant Brothers?
You must be here to look for the
Well, what respectable perfume merchant hasn't heard? I'm guessing you're here for the same reason, Emily. I commissioned a few eremites to do some scouting for me. That being said, there are people in Port Ormos who... Some of them were merchants who lived in Fontaine 20 years ago. According a one-of-a-kind, divine, and noble scent.
Maybe someone around here just happens to have...
No, I don't think so. I doubt that's the case. Even if someone had a bottle that was never opened, Auguste is even more prone to that kind of shift. Only a few bottles still exist. Although, could there be a flower out there with a similar fragrance? Or in a...
Impossible! If a goose were that easy to replicate, it would never...
Technically speaking, the scent wouldn't be impossible to imitate.
Well, let's table that question for now. Edgar... No. By the time they realized they had smelled something to set compared to things we see and hear. It almost sounds like someone wearing...
Wait, are you saying...
Just thinking out loud. We don't have much to go off of right now, but we can't rule out that possibility. You all traveled so far to be here. Why don't...
Ooh, you've got the keys to the room?
My apologies. All the rooms in the hotel, I managed to tidy up one of the rooms for these two at the last minute. But...
Oh, and we just showed up out of the blue.
I should have been more considerate. Here I am.
Don't worry, Master. I can sleep on the boat tonight. Or I could even camp in the wild. It would give me the opportunity to collect some plant specimens. Even better. Although, would it be possible for me to leave some of my luggage here?
Well, of course, no trouble at all. All right, then. Ood, I'll prepare some refreshments and...
Whoa, the smell of flowers is so strong. Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
No, that's a florist thing. We work closely with the essential oils of various plants, but to maintain a sharp sense...
Oh, guess there's just too much to store for the exhibition then.
Oh, this room seems to be a connected suite. Blaze, while you're out, why don't you bring... Blaze!
Yes, of course.
All right, then. Where can we find your luggage?
It's still at the port. In addition to some daily necessities, there's also a case of amber wine that I brought back from Fontaine. Could I trouble you to bring that back as well? It would...
How generous. I should thank you on my brother's behalf.
Is that so? Mr. Ood, Mr. Blaze, thanks for...
Hey! What are you doing?
That's Master's voice.
Edgar!
Master!
Hey, Edgar!
Who did this? Kyria. August. Kyria.
Hey, Edgar? Edgar!
No, don't shake him. He's injured. Just leave him to me. You two can... Oh, thank you.
That strange smell around here. Is it coming from this bottle? Oh, really? You think? Do you think whoever did this was hiding a...
I checked. Oh, but that's impossible. Oh, the culprit, I mean. It's not like the culprit could...
Well, we looked all over, but
The most important thing we can do now is focus our efforts on treating Master.
So, how's he doing?
When I administered emergency treatment, I discovered a residue in his nose and he's still unconscious and inducing vomiting could obstruct his airways. Well, yes, the scent is the same, but first, I do believe there are two Mr. Sylvain, Mr. Lucian.
Wait, you know...
Hey! Were you talking to us, mademoiselle?
Before arriving in Sumeru, I asked a friend from the Special Patrol to look into the creators of Auguste. There were 4 people in total. The perfumer, Edgar, a researcher from Sumeru responsible for cultivating the Auguste. The 2 brothers capitalized on the mythos surrounding Auguste. In the end, they were sent to the Fortress of Meripede for falsifying their account.
And what does that have to do with us? There are countless merchant
Every time your brother called you Blaze, it took you several seconds to respond. But when I called you Lucian just now, the name...
Ah, Miss Emily, out of respect for your position, you have a bright future ahead of you. You wouldn't want to develop a...
You claim to be regular perfume merchants, and yet, when I brought up
What?
Amber wine is a perfume I created several years ago. It wasn't particular until recently, they were living somewhere
Emily, you little...
Don't misunderstand, Mr. Sylvain. I don't bring this up to criticize, but Master's life is in danger. We need to... If Master's attack had something to do with Auguste, so I'd like to trouble you for some information.
Fine.
Sylvain!
Lucian, if this will help us find Kyria, then it will be... You were right, Miss Emily. There were 4 of us at the beginning. Sometime down the road, the Marechaussee Phantom came knocking. Settled us.
Sounds like he's still upset about that. Wait, then how did Edgar end up in some...
Master was convicted as an accomplice, so he only had to serve a few years. He decided to move to Sumeru so that he could put those events... Still, Master was depressed for a long time. That's how I met him. My parents had to relocate to Sumeru for work when I was a child, so I had the chance to study under him. But we can talk about that some other time. I want to hear more about this researcher.
Like us, Vijava was also... But before the Phantom showed up at her door, she set all the flower beds on fire, along with...
But destroying all that...
It didn't matter at that point, because she died.
What?
Sounds like you did an investigation of your own. Why even...
The name wasn't mentioned in any of the files I reviewed either.
Kiria was Vijava's... He was just a clueless kid back then. Somewhere in his... Vijava kept him close most of the time. After our operation was compromised, he disappeared.
So, you think Kiria took something...
Vijava doted on the kid like you wouldn't believe. If she left something behind before she...
And judging by the liquid in that bottle, the Auguste flower wasn't the only thing he reproduced. He managed to replicate the...
So the liquid Edgar was forced to ingest really was Auguste. Wait...
Poison? No. Of course not. No, if Auguste could be considered a poison, we wouldn't have even sold half a bottle back. He probably thought we had something to do with his sister's death. We're not looking for Kiria because we have it out for him. We just wanted to see how he was doing. We only went to prison for a bit of fraud. As long as we keep things honest this time around.
So that's why you never mentioned Kiria...
Yes, exactly. We were just looking out for the...
Anyway, that's all we know. If you're looking for information on...
Well, at least we're able to say for certain that the substance Edgar ingested was in fact Auguste.
Well, glad to hear it. Lucian, let's head back to the room and rest a bit.
Yes, of course.
You think so too? But based on Sylvain's tone of voice just now...
The way you exposed them like that? Just based on a hunch? That was... Oh, right! Earlier you said you...
Oh yes, that's because most of the patients I encounter are already dead.
So you're a forensic doc?
Close. I'm actually a forensic cleaner. Once the forensic team and the Marechaussee Phantom are... In fact, with just a small alteration to the formula. Basically, there are 2 sides to forensics. Those who collect evidence to expose... I've learned a lot in my line of work, and I've witnessed a lot of death. But this time, we may still save the patient. Actually, Traveler, could I trouble you to report back to Tainari and the officers at... I'll stay here and continue to look after Master, now that we have...
Wind Strider! Ka! You won't find them anywhere else! Whoa! Why the rush? Did something...
What? He's the most famous perfumer in the region.
Sheriff, have you received any reports of a suspicious individual?
No, but we've got eyes all over the area. I'll start gathering my forces. We won't let him get away.
What about you, Tainari?
I'm sure the sheriff can handle things over at the scene.
But...
Then she was far too modest. She may not be a doctor by trade, but she has a deeper understanding of human. Not to mention the fact that Mr. Edgar's condition is real. As for me, I'll head to the academia and see what I can learn about Vijava.
Oh, that's right! Vijava was...
From Emily's letter, certainly, but that was the first time I'd heard of it. I didn't have time to look into it earlier, but now it seems like Vijava's past. I have friends in Sumeru City that can help me investigate. With any luck, we'll have news to share by tomorrow. I'll leave you and Emily to watch over things here and... Wherever in this world.
Well, it's been a day. Wonder if Tainari's discovered anything. But things weren't looking good with Emily's master yesterday. We should check on things at the hotel first. Emily!
No longer in critical condition, thankfully. My chemical analysis of a goose also I was able to identify the components that give the substance.
Elemental energy?
Hard to say. It was such a minute amount, I had to use one of the newest tests developed in recent years to eat. Unless you were abnormally sensitive to elemental energy, I doubt it would have any effect, even if you use it. As for whether Master's condition was caused by the elemental energy present,
Oh, that reminds Paimon. Did Tainari come and find you?
I received a message from him last night, but I haven't heard anything since.
Oh, Paimon thought he might have stopped by to... excuse me? Is Miss Emily here? Oh, perfect! Familiar face?
Kale. Oh, of course. Tainari's apprentice. And please, no need for formality.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet... Did Tainari send you here, Kale? Yep. Master and the others went through decades worth of records last night and still haven't had a chance to rest. Anyway, based on what they've reviewed so far, they believe there's no Master considered that possibility as well. But the name wasn't the only dead end. Master... How is that possible?
It's starting to seem very likely. If we want to figure out her...
Hey! Lucian!
It's Sylvain! Wait, you don't think Kirio came back?
That seems impossible. If someone came in or out of the hotel...
Time to go.
It's locked?
There's no one here.
Lucian! Lucian!
That's Sylvain's voice! Hurry, let's...
Lucian! Lucian! Come on!
Emily, Emily, my brother.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sylvain.
No, no, that's not.
Traveler, Kale, Mr. Sylvain has gone. He needs some space to calm down. Could one of you take him next door?
Of course. Leave it to me.
Thank you both. Mr. Sylvain, let's get We'll take things from here. Just focus on getting some rest. Here, this way.
Poor guy. He's like, he may have made some bad decisions and—
Good person or bad, the death of a loved one is equally painful. All the moments he shared with his brother, every hardship and trial.
If Kyria really was behind this, then—
Lucien can no longer speak. But the traces... Traveler, I've got things covered here at the scene.
Who would have thought? Yesterday's case is still up. Miss Emily, I heard you're an experienced forensic...
Oh, I'm not actually a forensic doctor. I just happened to... I did take a look, though. Judging by the temperature and rigidity of the...
Then, would you mind helping us investigate? Before he left, Tainari said we could trust your judgment.
Of course, I appreciate your trust. Many of the traces left behind at the scene will fade with time.
we'll help too. We don't know much about— And the windows are shut tight too. Well, looks like we've investigated it.
So, did you find anything?
Paimon can show you. Here, it'd be something like this.
But entering through the room next door without...
No, his reaction to the loss of...
Then what could have happened last night? I know Sylvain...
I agree. Also, I've made some new
Mr. Sylvain, I need you to tell me everything you and your brother...
After Kyria attacked Edgar, my brother, we returned to our rooms and decided to lock all the doors. The only door we kept unlocked was the one connecting our room. But I didn't hear any sort of commotion last night. Not a single noise. I woke up.
So, no movement from the room next door. No signs of a struggle at the scene, and no external...
I did notice a few things about the body. Lucien's pupils were dilated, and there weren't any traces of liquid in his mouth or nose, so it's unlikely he was forced to ingest anything. The more plausible...
A goose No, that's not possible. Inhaling a goose? Oh, no. Emily, you ran your tests, didn't you?
No, I didn't find any common toxin.
See? A goose is harm.
That may be true for most people, but not for everyone.
Master!
Edgar?
Thanks to Emily. Sylvain, no matter how
Edgar!
even if we could keep it a secret for another 10 or 20, no, he would never give up. Not if... That's Vijava's real name. Yelena wasn't a scholar from Sumeru. She was an exiled Fatus from Snej...
Oh, Fatus?
The Fatui.
Ah, so you've already detected.
Oh,
The August flower was created with the mutative and distorting power.
The Fatui, delusions.
Born of a delusion, August contained distorted elemental energy.
that's enough. At first, Yelena wanted to keep refining the It didn't have any effect on ordinary people anyway.
So you decided poisoning people?
Listen, it's not like it was good for business. But all that talk about a goose being harmful unless you were particularly sensitive to elemental energy or had an entire
It may be true there are no records of but even if no one was acutely poisoned, willfully bringing a product to market despite explicit knowledge of its harmful effects is still a serious crime. That explains why you were so intent on keeping Yelena and Kiria's involvement. The Fatui, delusions, August. If the Marashase Phantom does...
Ha! If I'd known coming to Sumeru would put all these years without any sign of Kiria, and he pops up out of... August was harmless before. The fact that it's...
So there's bad blood between you.
What about Yelena's death? Was that...
I'll admit, we thought about it at one point. We took care to disguise the product circulating on the market, but... If the Marashase Phantom decided to look into the flower bed, before we could even put our plan in motion, Yelena beat us to it.
But if her goal was to destroy evidence... Yeah, she could have just burned the flower beds and...
I thought about it for a long time. Everything she did. One of the reasons they defected from the Fatui was the deterioration of Yelena's body. After arriving in Fontaine, Yelena continued using the delusion.
So she couldn't flee with her brother because...
If her true identity was exposed, she and her brother would face pressure from both Snezhnaya and Fontaine. The August flower and Yelena's own corroded body, so... In the end, she burnt it.
So the wealth you earned from August, it wasn't destroyed?
Most likely. Before Yelena died, she said if anything... That's why Lucian and I were searching for Kiria. To take back Armora and the August...
But why is Kiria out for revenge anyway?
I don't think he knew his sister was nearing death. Yelena always wore heavy makeup around him to conceal her deteriorating appearance.
Then all we'll need to do is tell Kiria what really happened. I'm not so sure. Even if he knew the truth, he'd still find someone to blame. He might think Yelena was... It's hard to pull yourself out of that kind of hatred.
Very true. Even if Yelena's death was...
Edgar!
Think about it, Sylvain. If we hadn't been in such a hurry to if we hadn't been so blinded by greed, if we hadn't invited the Marashase Phantom to our...
She knew her limits. She knew her days were numbered. We were just trying to earn a bit of moral. And what we deserved to... Lucian's crime.
The only person that can answer that question is a judge.
Fine. I've said my piece anyway.
3 people from Fontaine, 1 from Snezhnaya. Well, we can only wait until the Academia sends someone to deal with it. I'm guessing we'll have... With the exhibition, we don't even have space in...
The hotel could suffice. Although with Sylvain's mental state and...
Mr. Edgar, are you saying...
If Sylvain is to stand trial, then I deserve the same. I'd just like to take care of a few things. As for Sylvain, I'm sure he also... Would you be willing to grant that request, Sheriff?
Well, all right. I'll talk to the man we grew to know in Sumeru proved himself to be a...
You have my thanks, Sheriff.
Happened tonight? Oh, you mean...
Yeah! All we know is that he uses a goose to poison people. But we still have no idea how to cut if he targets Sylvain or Edgar.
That may be true. But what if we can take advantage of it? If we take advantage of this situation...
Master, no!
So, that if Kyria learns we're being taken away to... In other words, you want...
Capture? Not necessarily.
Afraid? This is my only... I'm spending the rest of my life in prison anyway. I can't just sit back and let him ride off into the sunset. As for the danger...
I'll admit, it could work. We just need... Then I'll station some of my men around the hotel.
I still have some reservations. But if you insist on carrying out this plan...
I'll also keep watch.
Although, I think Sylvain and my... If Kyria noticed another person in the room, he might decide to turn...
You mean if he doesn't see a way to get his...
If that were to happen, everyone's standing guard.
That's why everyone else needs to keep to the shadows.
You're still recovering. You need to rest.
This old pack of bone.
All right, we can figure out a plan to keep watch later. Right now...
Have you heard? Mr. Edgar's been detained.
What? He's the one who helped crop...
He taught my child how to make perfume.
He hasn't been convicted yet.
Oh, everyone on the street is talking about... Let's head back to the hotel and take a break.
Time to go.
Emily, Sheriff Xian wants to...
Thank you, Kale. But first, here. I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. Why don't you...
Oh, that's very kind...
Oh, it's not good to be so tense, especially when we've... You seem very preoccupied with Kyria's revenge.
Oh, Hey, Emily, Kale. Oh, are we in a... No, not at all. This will be easier to talk through with you here anyway. I've just been thinking. If Kyria has the capacity... There was just a single door separating them. When I accompanied Sylvain to his room after Lucien, maybe Kyria did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain to... So did he attack Edgar as a warning then? To scare Sylvain and Lucy.
Based on what we've heard about Kyria,
Losing his sister all those years ago. Whenever I get to thinking like that, I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't think like that.
there's nothing wrong with the way you're feeling. Empathy is a... In all my years of cleaning up crime scenes, I've witnessed countless... Some of them even try to stop me, begging me not to erase the last... Surround yourself with fragrance for too long, and your sense of... So while you hold on to that sense of empathy, do Sylvain and Lucien really deserve to die? How much did they... Answering those questions requires a lot of time and... I've witnessed a lot of deaths in Fontaine. When someone dies, but generally speaking, death will just...
Once you're consumed by hatred, it will become next to impossible to...
You're right. The fact that we can approach these questions from the... But that also makes us perfectly positioned to stand... I understand Kyria's decision, but I still want to stop him.
Huh. The fortunate and the...
Emily, Traveler. Huh? Edgar, you're here.
Oh, it's you two! Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really okay for you?
A little exercise. Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I've grown attached to these. I would imagine Sheriff Sham...
The Night Watch!
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding area, but we still don't have anyone standing guard. Exactly. After some discussion, we concluded that Sylvain has the highest risk of being attacked, and Emily's expertise is sure to come in handy in a pinch. That's why I want you...
Sounds perfectly reasonable.
Not a peep. Has Kyria given up on his revenge? Guess... Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Perhaps Kyria's true motive was simply for... No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was for Sylvain to be convicted for his true crimes, he could have... There must be something...
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. How about some tea? That herbal... You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then. Oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Flowers, clay... Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Wait, what?
Hey, did you hear?
It was the older of the merchant.
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named...
Listen up, everyone. This is an act of
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught...
Do you think it could be the work of an... I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so much...
Keep it moving, everyone. No loitering.
I suppose...
You don't know that. Kyria already attacked you once, and you
You were the only reason.
Even if I wasn't there,
Is that so? I have exceptional students. Caring... But Kyria has not... It really makes you want...
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kyria himself.
Well, Emily, There's something else I'd like to... But so many flowers were transported here for the show. Whether Kyria gets to me first, I know it's a lot to ask.
Of course, Master.
Really? Now I truly...
Sheriff Sham still has some questions.
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting.
I'm sorry, Master.
Another all-nighter. Emily still isn't back. I hope she didn't run into any trouble. Yeah, that's...
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. The crowd... After listening to Emily's plan, I started getting the material. To be honest, I'm still not sure how the crime was...
The key clue was right in front of us the entire time! Let's go! We'll show you where the culprit hid... This is it!
The glazed lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before.
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
Exactly.
A flower that only blooms at night.
Exactly. Although the Needle Pala Lotus wouldn't be a... That's why Kyria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism.
There's a sticky substance on the edge of the flower petals. It's one I recognize. If applied to the outside, you would still be able to... If you stick the petals to...
That's right. He applied a diluted form of slime condensate. That way, the agouste would remain trapped inside during the daytime, unable to seep between the... However, the diluted slime condensate wouldn't be viscous enough to prevent the petals of the glaze.
And Kyria could execute his revenge without...
By the next morning, the sample of agouste would have nearly fully evaporated. The glaze...
Wait a second. You're telling me this version of agouste is so tough? And how did Edgar even survive ingesting a whole bottle of this?
That's because agouste is just as dangerous now as it was all those years ago.
Ah, you mean people who are sensitive to elemental energy? That can't be right. They were involved.
I wouldn't use the word allergic necessarily. It's more... You can think of it this way. It's not that Sylvain and Lucien are innately sensitive to elemental energy, but...
The incense I smelled earlier seemed familiar. Thinking back on it. In Sumeru, scholars use
alchemically produced essential oils, the primordial seawater that caused unrest in Fontaine, not...
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first came to... yes.
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use incense indoors, so it's...
Flowers were pretty important to this plan, huh? The glazed lily is native to Liyue.
Actually, it's not a coincidence at all.
No wonder he was willing to pay a small fortune to rent out the hotel. He probably used the Mora Yelena left him, don't you think? That money was supposed to set up, but in the end, it was just a tool for...
There's a saying among forensic doctors in Fontaine. But up until this point, we haven't been able to detect any trace of Kyria's activities. But because he's been disguised as someone else...
The Mora spent to rent out the hotel. It all points to one person. Kyria and Edgar.
Kiryu was only in his teens back then. Edgar's lived here for so many years.
Bad news, Sheriff. Mr. Edgar was attacked.
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just ran out of his room. But before we could even react, the figure up and disappeared. Like, do you think Kiria kidnapped?
I need you to think very carefully about this.
I mean, Mr. Edgar.
It would seem Master decided to tap into an
What? But that's so dangerous with the...
But why?
No. If his aim was to target
If he left Sylvain alive yesterday, not out of a...
then there's...
The shadow-like figure ran in the direction of the elevator, and my partner immediately chased after them.
We should hurry before they're forced to confront each other.
Where in the world did he go? Let's ask the merchants nearby.
It's all right. Please, calm down and take a deep breath.
I saw... How could...
This is terrifying.
No! Don't come any closer!
If we go any further...
It's all right. I can detect a faint whiff of the scent from it. It's this way. Please, follow me.
Illusion shattered! Shine down!
The scent is getting stronger. This must be the place.
Just what will we come across this time?
Are you all right? Were you at...
No, I'm...
Let me take a look.
The air definitely feels heavy. It smells nice, but for some reason, this feeling...
Everything looks all right. It was probably just the stress of the chase.
I can't rest. Mr. Edgar is still in there. He taught my... He's a good man.
Oz, you need to calm down and listen to me. Edgar is the one we're after.
But how is that possible? Mr. Edgar is 70-something.
That's precisely why he had to resort to extraordinary measures. Kiria used a delusion to bring back the August flower.
No. He couldn't have.
And what if the impersonation started before he ever set foot in Sumeru? I've yet to confirm it, but I suspect Kiria killed the real Edgar in Fontaine while Edgar was incarcerated. Kiria started making preparations to replace him, including The new Edgar then decided to relocate to Sumeru, seemingly out of an innocuous desire to let go of the past. And Sumeru fit the bill to a T. with no one around to question his identity. All he had to do was grow a beard. As the years went by, he removed his disguise little by little and continued.
That explains why Sylvain said he barely recognized Edgar back at the He aged himself decades beyond his years.
I need to find Mr. Edgar. He's not that
What you really need is to get out of here.
No, I can keep going.
Wait! This environment is likely being influenced by the delusion. Any discomfort, no matter how slight, I know how to relieve your symptoms, Mr. Ooze. I'm sure Kiria... No,
Kale's right. The Traveler and I will take things from here. From our brief exposure to a goose, it would seem that this leads me to believe those blessed with a vision or capable of wielding elemental power are more resistant to... Actually, now that I think about it, this stronghold... I hate to trouble you, but we need people to...
Thanks. Hear that? We're heading out. There's work to be done.
Got it.
Traveler, Emily, for someone whose only purpose in life is revenge.
Don't worry. This isn't the end. Not for us, or for... We're not going to let a goose kill anyone. Monsters. Perhaps they were attracted here by the increased level of elemental energy.
Watch out! Cha! Aha! Hey there! Hiya! Coming at ya!
I've never seen these seeds before. They must also have been created with the power of a delusion. It seems to be avoiding us, and there's no other way forward. Perhaps we could try luring it to the edge of the cliff.
Whoa, look at all the There are so many of them. I can't believe a single...
I fear that statement is truer than you know, Paimon. Using a delusion comes at a cost.
But why would Kira... He only needed a few bottles of a goose...
Perhaps hatred wasn't the only emotion. Not long ago, he told me he didn't want all the flowers transported to Sumeru, but Kiria betrayed Snezhnaya, abandoned Fontaine, and lived his entire... for someone with nowhere to call home. Perhaps neutralize! Shine down!
Attack! That's the way. Hey there!
I must do my duty!
Hey there! Hey there! Hiya!
Adventure time! Extract!
Illusion shattered!
A plant that destroys seeds. Huh, quite the ecological marvel. Let's head back to the place where the seeds first appeared. The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end. The scent of flowers is getting stronger.
Did they catch up that fat? No. My strength is just waning. But it doesn't matter. This...
This is a garden of Auguste flowers. But it's not mine. It's the one that was set on fire all the... Yelena? Yelena! You tried to hide it from me, but the reason why you continued to use the delusion, the reason why you set your garden, I shouldn't have listened to you that day. I shouldn't have taken the Mora and ran. But by the time I realized something wasn't right, there was nothing left. I know I'm almost 20 years too late. I should have come look. I should have died with you that day! Yelena? Yelena! No! Don't leave me! Please! Yelena!
I'm alive. No.
That was an illusion, likely brought about by the residual toxin in your body.
No. The amount of Auguste I drank. A fake. But...
We started making the preparations last night to create a perfect accord. The accord is the basis of perfume making,
the product in its most primitive form. Ambergris mixed with cedar wood, rounded out with a base note of agar wood.
This is the scent of leather?
Exactly. We're unable to extract essential oils from leather, but by combining other raw materials, we can recreate its essence. That is the purpose of an accord.
Does that mean you can recreate any scent in the whole world?
I'm afraid not. Certain fragrances in this world are simply one of a kind. That quality is what draws people in and fuels their obsessions.
If I wear a goose to the ball, I'll also be one of a kind. Our competitor already got their hands on it. Hurry, Molly.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I have to buy something better.
This fragrance will be one of a kind no more. Myths can be deconstructed. Miracles can be recreated. All it takes is skill, experience, limitless exploration, and a little patience. The only thing left is determining where the real Auguste is hidden. Pretending to be attacked means he's not free to move around. Auguste must be hidden within reach.
Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
The curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharawar, capable of retaining heat and moisture.
Perfumes are as beautiful as flowers, and equally as delicate. When stored, you must take care to control the temperature and keep them away from direct sunlight. Did you get all that, Emily?
I got it.
Did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
So, Sylvain is dead. Is that right?
Yes, Master.
So, you switched the bottles of Auguste?
Convincing you that your revenge had been completed was the
Impossible. Even if you found a way to switch out the... If Auguste was so easy...
It was a combination of rainbow roses, glazed lilies, and Cecilias. Those ingredients... But recently, we found a way...
Rainbow roses? Glaze?
Auguste was created over 10 years ago. All this time, people know perfumery techniques are advancing day by day. We found better ways to extract... The mythos surrounding Auguste may have been untouchable almost 20 years ago, but now it's time for it to become a thing.
The past.
You've been working as a perfumer for all these years. You should have always known that it is possible to make an accord, even if only in theory. But the meaning you assigned to Auguste became so inflated. You believed in its divinity and grandeur. You believed your obsession with Auguste is also what allowed...
We just didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Well, so... Since you've been preparing your accord since last night, that means the news of Sylvain's death, the crowd...
Yes. If we hadn't, you might have resorted to the delusion out of desperation.
Who knows? Maybe I would have...
I know if you had things your way, you would carry the truth of Edgar's demise and the secrets of the... Sylvain only inhaled a small... All the crimes he concealed back then will be exposed in a court of law.
Is that so? Well, I suppose
Whoa, he accepted that kind of fast.
I don't feel the need to justify my action. I did what I set out to do.
Careful, everyone.
Stick close and hurry up.
Looks like I'm almost out of time.
Of course, Master.
The combination you used to make...
The scent of Auguste is complex and varied, yet the main... So, as I was analyzing the sample yesterday, I got to think...
You're saying Yelena designed...
Rainbow roses, glazed lilies, Cecilias... The perfumers of the past knew that if you combine their essential oil... But if you cultivate a new flower species that intrinsically...
Rainbow roses. Yelena.
Did you know? Miss Emily's releasing a... Right, I heard...
Seems like everyone in Fontaine is talking about the new perfume you're...
I was hoping to release it without such a fuss, but I just hope it won't become the source of some new myth, especially after all the work I did. Although I made a few modifications to the formula to make the scent. Also, I was hoping you could try out the fragrance before I officially release it.
Of course! A good sense of taste and sense of smell go hand... Oh, it smells great!
It's all right. Besides, when it comes to perfume, commenting on whether it smells good is...
Right! Do those flowers have some special meaning?
If I had to guess...
The language of flowers? Oh, we've heard of that
What each flower is said to represent varies by person and across different moments in history. After returning to Fontaine, I did some research, and it turns... Forget the past and keep on living. Perhaps that's the legacy Yelena always intended, not the nobility and grandeur most people associate.
You think Kiria knew about that?
I paid him a visit before his trial and explained what I found. Who knows? Maybe she didn't mean anything by it at all. Yelena is gone. We'll never know what she was thinking. We can look, even if that is what she was trying to say. Avenging her death? That was... Kiria cultivated his revenge like a flower. He was committed to making it bloom. In any case, he did want me to pass along his thank you for saving my life. For giving me the chance to... Love and hatred are a privilege. When someone dies, their thoughts, feelings, and intentions die. But even if it's only a conjecture, I would... The meaning we give to flowers, the symbolism we assign to our perfumes, they're constantly twisted and exploited in our imperfect... And yet, at the very outset, they're born from the simplest and most beautiful desire.